Everyone, and I know the coaches, and including Gannon. Gannon thinks he's smarter than he is. I'll probably make a great head coach. I mean it. He's a great bullshit artist. And he knows how to talk to the media. Conditioning wasn't a factor. Who are you lying to? Anybody that ever played the game or watched the game saw that you didn't know game tempo and your team was out of shape. Are you trying to tell me the players didn't want to show up and hit anybody? Appreciate everybody coming aboard. Thank you so much, as you do each and every single Monday through Friday. You know, guys, I kid around a lot with you. And sometimes, we throw some stick in there and, we have the shtick out there and, we play around for 3 hours. We have a good time here. But when I hear coaches out and out bullface lying to people and absolutely just trying to throw out a narrative that's not true to fans, it absolutely aggravates me. So today, Jonathan Gannon at his press conference was saying, and I'm paraphrasing this, that conditioning and lack of reps in the postseason weren't a factor. In my opinion, Jonathan Gannon, once again, his next job should be at a library, at the Independence Library. That's what his next job should be, not as a defensive coordinator or a head coach somewhere. And here's why. This guy's the guy that likes to jam a square peg into a round hole and tell you, play my system or you're not playing any system. And that's why that team looked out of sorts. Fact is, too, by the way, that's not just an Eagle issue that team was out of shape against Detroit, okay? That's it across the board. I get it. But you got to have players on that team that aren't just punching time clocks. You got to have guys that want to go out there and have an effort and a great effort and put good tape together. This is going to be mostly about the defensive coordinator and the players not giving effort and the players not going over and above to be a champion. You know the difference between the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles and the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles? The 17 team wanted it. They wanted it. This team, they think they're going to show up and beat teams. You're not good enough. You are not good enough to do that. Gannon's assets are in his front four, his front seven, not his linebackers. It's one of the biggest mistakes rookie defensive coordinators make. They have a system. And they have a mentality. Keep everything underneath. Let the linebackers roam. And let the defensive tackles control the line of scrimmage. Jonathan Gannon's idea of controlling the line of scrimmage is different than mine. You know what mine is? Penetration, backfield, tackles for losses. Get back there. Create a new line of scrimmage. Hargrave and Fletcher Cox are not bought in. They've not bought into it. Their effort and their play shows it. It's about as inconsistent a defensive line play that I've seen in Philadelphia maybe for 20 years. The defensive coordinator has players on that team that aren't all bought in. And then you put on top of that 5 new starters. Communication issues. You saw it on both lines against Detroit. Then you had the audacity to come out at a press conference and say, it's on the players again. So are you saying if it's not lack of, get this, because you know why? Getting your players in shape and having your players play reps is a coaching thing. So what is it, Jonathan Gannon? Here's another example of the coach now going after his players again and saying it's them and it's effort, not him. Same shit he did a year ago. I told you he wouldn't change his stripes. He's going to blame players every chance he gets. God, do I hate that guy. I hate that type of guy. Bro, you're in this together, man. You're rowing in the same direction. You guys are in this all. It's you against the world. That guy, I mean, where was Hassan Reddick? Hassan Reddick looks like his head is on a swivel. By the way, I brought this up to you before. 3 teams in 3 years. Why is that? He's a situational pass rusher. And people don't want to hear that. He's a situational pass rusher. I'm going to get to him in a minute. I got a list. Gannon is a huge problem for the Eagles. By the way, I'm going to bury the lead here with you. The way that team looked against Detroit, Minnesota will put a 40 spot on them. Dalvin Cook will go for 120 yards rushing. God forbid. If that guy goes for 120, Justin Jefferson will have 200 yards and 3 touchdowns against that defense that is so-called a star defense. That's what everybody's been telling me. Fletcher Cox, let's start here. Fletcher Cox does not deserve to be in the starting lineup, let alone a Philadelphia Eagle right now. Out of gas. You know what you're going to get with Fletcher? 6 shitty games, 1 game where he flashes. Everyone's going to call the show, tune into the show and go, see, Silz, I told you. Not $14 million, man. You got to be a game changer and a game wrecker every week, 14-4. You got to be a guy that goes in and wreaks havoc. This guy's collecting a paycheck. Not his fault. The general manager brought him back. Hey, Howie, F. Milton Williams can give you the same effort that Fletcher Cox is giving you over the last year in a game. He could do the same thing at 70% less the price. Create more cap space for you. You have more money to go in the open market and get somebody like you should have went after that kid in Chicago that the Bucks got. That's the guy you needed to go in the offseason and get. Could have got him at a pretty good rate, too. Hey, it's not a slam. Fletcher's had a great career, and I don't need to quantify Fletcher Cox's career as an Eagle. You all know it. It's time. It's time. This guy was getting blown off the ball. He's not in shape. He's not bought into Gannon's system, and you see his effort. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to play like Aaron Donald. I don't blame him. I hate that system. It's time. It's time to pull the ripcord on Fletcher Cox. It's over with. But then here you have a problem. Hey, fat guy, I'm going to start calling you Jelly. If you don't get your ass in shape, dude, you are not on scholarship any longer at Georgia. This is National Football League. You were drafted in the first round for a reason. Your athleticism, your talent, your production has never, ever in your career equaled it, including at Georgia. It's time. Either you're going to be, like I said yesterday, a great player or an average player. You're so gifted, you'll have a long career. But will you ever be considered one of the elites? Not with a White Castle mentality. You got to figure it out, kid. Do you want to be a star or not? Do you want to be Fletcher Cox 2.0? Because that's what they need out of the kid. Isn't this the worst thing you could say about a player? Boy, I'll tell you what, when he plays 10 plays, you line him up, man. He's a factor. Next 5 plays, he's fat, he's out of shape, plays high, gets knocked off the ball. Man, that's a crime. Don't let that be you, man. Don't let that be you. Terrible. Terrible. Get this. Not being in shape takes no ability. It takes no talent. The only thing it takes is will. It's will. God. Take it from somebody who failed. Have the will, kid. Have the will. Man, Jordan Davis is this close to greatness. Don't let it go through your fingertips, kid. Don't let it. It will haunt you. Don't. Man, so gifted. Hassan Reddick. Dude, I get it. I know the problem. I told you this, guys. And look, I think he's talented. He's one-dimensional. Covering backs and tight ends. Who in their right mind would have that guy playing the run, covering backs and tight ends? He's terrible at it. He's a situational pass rusher. Use him like that. That's who he is. Everyone, and I know the coaches, and including Gannon. Gannon thinks he's smarter than he is. I'll probably make a great head coach. I mean it. He's a great bullshit artist. And he knows how to talk to the media. Conditioning wasn't a factor. Who are you lying to? Anybody that ever played the game or watched the game saw that you didn't know game tempo and your team was out of shape. Are you trying to tell me the players didn't want to show up and hit anybody? Man, what a horrible, horrible press conference to hear a coach say that. Shut up. No respect for you for that. Hassan Reddick, man. Okay? Let's go. You need to play him this way. 3rd and long, 3rd and medium. Plain and simple. 1st and 2nd down, he should not be out there on the field. But you know what Howie did? He put start incentives in his contract. I could tell. Because that's why he starts. He shouldn't start. That guy's a situational pass rusher. At best. At best. Extra running. You mean to tell me that there's not enough veteran leadership on that Philadelphia Eagle team, and you don't walk off that field and you don't look at the 53/47-man roster and go like this, we need to be in better condition? You know, if you're in better shape, that makes you have clear mind and better communication on the field. That also plays a factor, and that's why you don't have those fucked up 10 penalties. Dude, when you're in shape and you're conditioned, that helps your communication and your poise. You know the greatest thing in the world is when you're in shape in the 4th quarter and you look across and that guy's got his hands on his hips and that guy's sucking on a gas pipe over there because he's trying to get oxygen. And you've got that guy. You got that guy. That guy's done. Over. You beat him. But that's the Eagles. Now remember something here. Some of you are probably going, we won, Silz. Yes, you did. Do you want to be a champion? Or do you like being common? 9-8 is common. It's like rooting for 500. What about the issues of the teams that also struggle? I don't give a shit about the other teams. This is a supposed Super Bowl contender. Trading deadline comes, I'm moving Fletcher Cox. I'm doing everything I can to get him out of there. He's not productive. And this is a problem with the Eagle fans. And not just the Eagle fans, but a lot of fan bases. You fall in love with the name on the back of the jersey instead of the helmet. I don't care about him. It's about stopping the run and being effective on 1st down. He's part of the problem. He's part of it. The Lions ran the ball for 181 yards on you. And when Fletcher was in there, 10 yards a carry. When Jordan Davis was in there, 2.9 on first down. I don't know. Silz, it's one game. No, it's been a collection of games dating back to last year. It's time. In every NFL player's career, that ugly day comes. For Brady, people are still waiting. For Todd Gurley, it was early. For Fletcher, it's been a brilliant Philadelphia Eagle career. It's time. It's time. Too many new guys on defense. The communication factor is an issue, especially in the front four. And let me explain something to you like I did to the guys on Sports Take. So you spend all your money in the triangle, your two tackles. You got $34 million lined up in there and a first-round draft choice. You went out and gave $10 million a year to Hassan Reddick. You got $45 to $50 million lined up. And you think your linebackers are your strength of your team? This guy, Jonathan Gannon, thinks his system is more important than the players that he has on his team. That's why he hasn't built a scheme. You see, I'm going to tell you something here. Let me read this here with 85. You see the 2.9 yards with Davis? Start him over. Not going to do that. 85, they got $12.7 million lined up in Hardgrave. And he's the younger dude. Not happening. Not happening. Financially, that's not going to work. How do you explain that to your owner where you got a $13 million guy sitting to pine behind a guy making $900,000? You're not going to do that. That's a cap failure. You're not going to play guys making $12 to $14 million? That's your GM overpaying for two players. Rage goes, I think Fletcher got $14 million as a retirement. Thank you. Yeah, great football. Too many new guys. Do you know, can I tell you the one fundamental thing that is clearly the problem with Jonathan Gannon? And I'm going to show you something here. It's funny. Xander and I talk prior to the show all the time about, shows around the country and this and that. You know how you build a network? You know how you build a business? You build it around the strengths of your talents that you have on or in your business. You put your formula together, and if you're creative enough as a business person, you have a fundamental mentality of what you want your approach to be. But you build your team and your business around the strengths of your people. And I'm going to give you the greatest bit of advice I ever got from Warren Buffett. Warren, when you invest in businesses, boy, I wonder what kind of gadget you go after or gadget or widget you go at. He goes, I never do that. I go, what do you mean? He goes, I invest in people. I was like this. He goes, what? I go, what? A horse is not going to go to water unless you lead it. I looked at that. He goes, always invest in the jockey, never the horse. It's the jockey that takes the horse around the track. Okay? You could have the most talented horse on the planet. If you don't have the right jockey that knows how to get it home, you'll never cross the finish line. The Eagles had the wrong jockey. It's the same mentality. You got all those new faces, all those new voices in the huddle on defense. You don't think there's going to be a communication issue if you're not practicing? Those organized team practices are horseshit. They did nothing. Oh, but the Eagles are healthy. I could be wrong. They could come out and they could play their ass off against the Vikings. And get this, everything got righted. We'll see. I don't believe that. I think that offense will change and get better. I do not think that defense is going to get better. Not with the jockey leading it. I do not. You got too many good coaches on the offensive side. And smart thinkers. I don't think you have very many smart people on defense. Dude, this is training wheels. These coaches are so freaking young with so little experience, and you see it. They're being led and guided by the front office on how they prepare for games. And it showed. That was a front office game. That was a front office game if I've ever seen. Not going to practice, want to be healthy. Let's not play guys in the preseason. That's all Howie, man. No coach in his right mind would send a guy on a football field that was fat and out of shape. Nobody. And by the way, where are these assistant coaches kicking people in the ass going, you need to run more, kid? You need to get better shape. How about this with Jordan Davis? Let me throw this at you. So Jordan Davis, it wouldn't be about getting your head front side. It wouldn't be about engaging in offensive guards and centers. It would be our conversation on, you got to be in better shape. Damn, what a sin. It has nothing to do with athletic ability. Dude, you need to coach these kids harder. Get in some asses. See, but they can't because you know why? They're not in charge. They're not in charge. Sirianni hollers at Hurts on the sidelines. Big deal. Your coaching is Monday through Friday, not Sundays. If I'm coaching players on Sundays, there's a problem. What the hell were you doing Monday through Friday then? Coach Johnson used to do this all the time. Sundays would come. I never heard a peep from him. I heard his ass Monday through Friday, though. You bet your ass on that. Next shift, thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. I'm going to get to you guys here. Silz, if you hurt the new kids' feelings, their request to trade, fuck them. Can't we hear that? Screw that. Let's go. National Football League. Want to hear that. Dude, you baby these kids like these guys are preschoolers. I think you're babying these guys more than you do in college. I'll tell you what, man. Best coaches, that guy in Alabama, man, would run that team into the ground. Can you imagine if you change coaching staffs and you put Saban's staff in that Philadelphia Eagle building at NovaCare? Man, you'd have guys requesting trades all the time because you know why? There's people that got preconceived notions on how they prepare for seasons that wouldn't be kosher with that dude. No way. Hey, did you see that coaching job Pete Carroll did last night against a young Nathaniel Hackett? You see that? Geno Smith beat Russell Wilson and the Broncos. Geno Smith. You see the way that Seahawks defense played last night? They played like their hair was on fire. In Jonathan Gannon's year in a game, have you seen any situation where the Eagles play like their hair's on fire? That's the greatest example I could give you on the mentality of a defensive-minded coach versus a guy who's a librarian. Seahawks are ready to play, man. They were outmanned, out-quarterbacked, everything. Everyone's crowning the Broncos, gave the dude almost a $300 million deal. They made him look shitty last night. Russell Wilson, hey, I get it. Whole thing at the end. And then you had JV coaching at the end. You take the ball out of Wilson's hand and you put it in a kicker's foot. Really? You spent $300 million so that you could put the game in the hands of a guy who's never kicked a 60-yarder, I think a 61-yarder, whatever it was. You can't be any dumber. Players see this. They know who they're in the room with. Pete Carroll outcoached a rookie coach and made that dude look like this. Hey, man, I told you from day one. This is how I run my team. We run the ball hard. Shit, the kid Rashad Penny looks like he was reincarnated. It's been a bust since he got to Seattle from San Diego State. Completely outcoached. Geno Smith beat Russell Wilson. I never in my lifetime ever thought I would ever utter that phrase. And then the coach at the end puts the game on the foot of a nobody kicker. You can't be any dumber. But coaches are this way all the time because you know why? There's another example of Nathaniel Hackett believing in his system and who he is. You can't be any dumber. Okay? Absolutely, man. Awful. Awful. Hackett pulled the Staley. Lose that locker room with that kind of stuff. Problem is Gannon. Problem is Gannon. And then Gannon has the onions to come out in a press conference and go, it's not conditioning. It's not lack of reps. Well, then what is it? Your players didn't show up? You're putting it on the players? Man. You see, players were going to read that. Fletcher's going to see that. Hardgrave is going to see that. That's clearly turning the blame back on the players and off the coaches. Dude, he's terrible. So when you're up 31-17 and you have a sequence of plays where you have 3 consecutive 3-and-outs and you saw him moving golf around in the pocket was the way to get to him. What made you get away from that? He was finding no lanes. There were no passing lanes. You know when the passing lanes came? When Gannon pulled off the gas pedal. Shit, second half was a completely different Jared Goff. Why? Well, D coordinator wasn't bringing pressure anymore. I worry about the talent on the Eagles D line. No, they're not being properly used. Dude, if I have a 6'6" guy running, watch this. BF, if I have a 6'6", 348-pound defensive tackle that runs a 4.78, I'm not asking him to two-gap. I'm asking him to line up in the gap and make the biggest presence you can possibly make because you're going to wreak havoc back there when you do that. The worst thing you can have in an offense is penetration and moving the quarterback around. Hey, by the way, you don't bring pressure against Kirk Cousins, he will throw for 400 yards against you. 400 yards. With that group, throw for 400 yards. Move. How do you get to Cousins? Pressure. This guy doesn't believe in pressure. T. Lewis. Absolutely, man. The D coordinator for the Lions brought pressure every play. Even when he started losing some of his star players, he didn't give a shit. That's a mentality. That's a guy who played the position of defense. You see the difference between the D coordinator in Detroit? Wait a minute now. Look how close that game was. And look how that D coordinator's mentality was because he's a former player. Got to get after people. Got to get after them. I'm telling you, like I told the guys earlier and like I told you guys yesterday, okay? The reason that they win that game is Jalen Hurts, clearly. His running ability, breaking down on third down, they had no answers for it, and they couldn't contain him. They just could not stop him. And they're lucky. Hurts can't. Watch this. If they got a quarterback back there that can't move around, there'd have been 7 sacks. I think the Lions would have handily beat the Eagles. Handily. You were out of shape. You couldn't pass protect. Miles Sanders kept it also going. These aren't observations. Well, they are. But this is what happened in the game. Then I hear excuses. It's like Excuse Tuesday. You get in front of the press and you start saying shit, and get this. Well, the Philadelphia media, because they want access to the building, are going to go, okay. And they're going to step off the gas pedal and say, okay. I heard a guy that was talking to the Sports Take guys, who I'm not a fan of, who writes for the Inquirer. I don't think it's a big deal that Devontae Smith didn't get a pass catch. Well, I wanted to make a statement in that game, dude. First games, hey, when you get into a fight, don't you want to throw the first punch to set the tone? Or do you just want to get in there and just like spar with the guy? What a dumb mentality. Hey, you got to win. Get out of there. It's okay. Don't move on. He's not going to. All the great ones have donuts. I don't remember Jerry Rice having donut games. I disagree with that mentality. If I step on a football field, especially against a team like the Lions, I want to make a statement, man. I want you to know when we left the game, how about this? Packers know the Vikings. That was a statement game. That was a statement game. And you know what that new head coach is telling those players in Minnesota? You imagine you get out of the gate beating the Packers and the Eagles, 2 teams that are picked to be Final Four teams potentially in the NFC, and you lay it to them, bro, they'll be looking at you in a different light. They'll be looking at you in a whole different way. You go into Lincoln Financial and you beat up the Eagles. I'm not saying they are. We'll get more to that towards the end of the week. And again, it's a Monday night game. And I'm not saying that. By the way, I think the dudes in Vegas and Atlantic City have the Birds 2.5-point favorites. So I'm not saying that. Smith will ask for a trade if Hurts can't get him the ball. I'm not going there right now. We're talking defense here for a second. Dan, I thought Rodgers would be fine. He will be fine. You're not playing against Minnesota every week. Brian goes, anyone bet on the Broncos last night? I bet you everybody did. Geno Smith? I don't think that guy started a ball game since he was with the Jets. Okay? Michael goes, Silz, can you please come coach the Eagles defense? They'd never listen to me. They don't want a guy like me. You got to be a politician today. Me and Seth, not working. Okay? You got to be like a psychologist and a politician to be a coach today. You can't have heart-to-hearts like you can back in the day. You can't have those Buddy Ryan in-your-face conversations because players go and cry to their agents and the agents cry to the organization, and then Howie, who all these guys are his, chastises the coach. That's how it works today. Howie runs that team, and it showed in Detroit. Okay? Seth would be better than Gannon? Of course he would be. What's that got to do with reality, though? You think they're going to have a guy like Seth Joyner walking into a team meeting going like this? Hey, kid, that fucking sucked. You think that's going to go on? Never in a million years. Never. By the way, where's the Kobe Dean? Did he get any reps in that game on Sunday? Did he play it down? And I'm not talking special teams. Did he play? I don't remember him in the game. So somebody tell me if he played. What are you doing with him? I thought this guy was one of these budding stars. Looks like he's having a problem picking up the playbook. Where is he? He's a steal of the draft? 3 reps. Rage, he had 3 reps? Just 3 reps. That's the steal of the draft. And if you can't get playing time against the Lions, you think they're going to put him into a complex offensive set like the Vikings? Shows you multiple formations? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Guys getting blown off the ball. That's why, you know why they didn't put him in more? Because the D-line was getting knocked off the ball. And he's not physical enough and big enough to take on them guys. That's why he got 3 reps. Son, you need some rocks in your pocket. 3 reps. Shit. Come on, kid. Steal of the draft. Steal of the draft is chewing on ice on the sidelines is not what I call a steal of the draft. 1 game, Dan. It's the Lions. I think Kaiser White can play. Kaiser White can play. Yeah, but Epps and White look good. I thought, haven't I been telling you to give Marcus Epps a shot? I like Marcus Epps. I think he plays hard. He made a bunch of nice hits. I don't have a problem with him at all back there. Okay? I think CJ played as well as he could with 9 days on the job. Okay? Carl goes, it's a good damn thing we didn't lose. No, but you lost a little bit in reputation. Eagles won the game against the Lions. I think you lost some face in the locker room with people and with people around in the NFL community. That's a piss-ass effort, dude. But by the way, again, I think Jalen Hurts, you go back. I watched that game again last night. Jalen Hurts is not on the field. There's no question they don't win that game. If Gardner Minshew's a quarterback, they're killed. Because the pass rush was getting to him. Lane Johnson's the only guy that graded out well, in my opinion. Rest of them, Jones goes, it's 1 game, brother. Dude, all I know is this. When I build a house, I start with 1 brick. Okay? When I start writing a story, I start with 1 word. When I start anything in my life, I want it to be solid. I don't know about you, especially in a game like football. I want to start it with a solid performance. You know, you're right, guys. This has always been my problem with the University of Miami. It has been a problem. You know why? I demand you freaking play your ass off all the time, and you play as hard as you can, and you give max effort at all times, max coaching. Everything has to be great. Some of you don't see things like that. I understand this now. I do. I understand this. That's not how I am, man. Football's ruined me. It has. Because, man, when I stepped on a football field, or I did anything that I wanted like that, man, I wanted to be the greatest, and I wanted to stand out in a crowd. I didn't give a shit it was game 1 or game 17 or game 12. Didn't matter. I really sometimes didn't even give a shit what the score was. You know, that's probably a problem on me. I most of the time didn't care what the score was. I wasn't going to give you a bad effort ever. Ever. I was going to play the best of my ability. Some of you go like this. Silz, you must have been your own worst enemy. Funny. Prior to my show, it's kind of what Xander said. It's true in everything I've done. Football, broadcasting. It's true. Can't lie. Can't lie. I demand you're great. You should demand you're great. Why do it? Then you start pointing fingers. Got my new power rankings for the NFL. You're going to probably be shocked where I put the Eagles. Okay? And I think you're probably going to get a better sense of where I'm at now with them. Okay? I bet you're going to be shocked. And I'm doing it like a top 20. I'm not going through all those crappy teams that are at the bottom of the NFL. I don't care. I'm going to put my top 20 NFL teams. Okay? I'm going to do a top 20. Okay? We'll do that. Also have a top 10 college football that I put together there too. No. You guys are wrong. I've not done that. Dan can't shit on Hurts this week, so he's got a point somewhere else. Bro, you have a problem with me. I don't with you. So whatever. It's all good. Okay? I think you trying to goat me into talking shit on Hurts. There's no reason for it. I've already done that yesterday. I made my point. Driving a nail into the board and through the board, I've made my point. I would say this to you. Dude, Milton Williams could give me more than Fletcher Cox can. I'd start his ass. If Jordan Davis is too fat and out of shape, I would start Milton Williams. Fletcher Cox does not belong on the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay? He does not. He does not. Okay? Please hit the like button. We're going to continue. I got my top 20 NFL power rankings. Very disappointing effort last night by the Broncos, too. We're going to take a look at week 2 also. Merrill Reese, the legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, has agreed to come on with me once a week. And we are privileged to have Merrill Reese come on with us once a week. He'll be on with us again on the third hour at 5:30 Eastern time. So we're so looking forward to talking with Merrill Reese and what he saw. Guys, don't forget also our good friends at Morgan & Morgan, where the fee is free. If you're hurt or injured on the job, there's only one place for you to go when it comes to representing your family. That is Morgan & Morgan. For over 30 years, they've collected $13.5 billion for their clients, protecting them and guiding them through very tough trials. They're the biggest law firm in the country, and nobody represents you better because they are the biggest. With over 800 attorneys and offices in New York, Philadelphia, and in Florida, nobody will represent you the same way Morgan & Morgan will. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. The call is free. The consultation is free. 800-512-1600. When you call Morgan & Morgan, do me a favor. Tell them Big Silz sent you.
When choosing a lawyer for your injury case, you may ask, does the size of the law firm matter? Well, of course it does. The insurance company, they're huge with unlimited resources. And whether your case is big or small, they're built to bully you out of the money you're owed. But here's the good news. We're big too, the biggest actually. And we're built to fight to make them pay for all that was taken from you. Size is our strength. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.